Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Saturday, August the 19th, 2023. Our gospel reading today is Mark 10, 35 to 45. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came forward to him and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." And he said to them, "What is it that you want me to do for you?" And they said, "Grant us to sit one at your right hand and one at your left in your glory." But Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism that I'm baptized with?" They replied, "We're able." And then Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink you will drink, and with the baptism with which I'm baptized you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to grant, but it's for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they began to be angry with James and John. So Jesus called them and said to them, "You know that among the Gentiles, those whom they recognize as their rulers lord it over them, and the great ones are tyrants over them. But it is not so among you. But whoever wishes to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be slave of all. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." In that passage, we have that famous moment when James and John asked Jesus if they could sit at his right and left hand when he came into his kingdom. "That's not mine to give," he said to them. And when the other disciples got angry about the audacity of the sons of Zebedee even asking for such a thing, Jesus then went on to teach them all that greatness in his kingdom was about servanthood, not rank or position. "If you want to be first," said Jesus, "then you must become the slave of all." Jesus was reminding his disciples that an even greater meaning in life was to be found outside of ourselves. "For the Son of Man came not to be served," he said, "but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many." Historian philosopher Will Durant once said, "To give life meaning, one must have a purpose larger than oneself." And likewise, William James offered, "The greatest use of life is to spend it for something that will outlast it." And Philip Yancey notes that toward the end of his life, Albert Einstein removed the portraits of two scientists, Newton and Maxwell, from his wall and replaced them with the portraits of Mahatma Gandhi and Albert Schweitzer. Einstein explained that it was time to replace the image of success with the image of service. Well, today, probably the chief existential question that is facing us is, does my life have meaning and purpose? And the great human anxiety of our age is meaninglessness. And so there has to be a new way of thinking. Theologian Douglas John Hall points us to John 10:10 that forms the basis of this whole Abundant Life devotion series. Only an abundant life in Jesus Christ can offer us the kind of meaning that we're seeking in our lives. Fame can't, celebrity can't, reputation can't. Only an abundant life in which we follow Christ and the path of servanthood can. "But it is not so among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you must be your servant. Whoever wishes to be first among you must be slave of all," said Jesus. Mr. Holland's Opus was a movie starring Richard Dreyfuss, perhaps you saw it years ago, about a frustrated composer in Portland, Oregon, who takes a job as a high school band teacher back in the 1960s. Although diverted from his lifelong ambition of achieving critical fame as a classical musician, Glenn Holland believes that his school job is only temporary. At first, he maintains his determination to write an opus or a concerto by composing at his piano after putting in a full day with his students. But as family demands increase, including the discovery that his infant son is deaf, and the pressures of the job multiply, Mr. Holland recognizes that his dream of leaving a lasting musical legacy is merely a dream. And at the end of the movie, then, we find an aging Mr. Holland fighting in vain to keep his job. The school board had decided to reduce its operating budget by cutting the music and drama programs. No longer a reluctant band teacher, Mr. Holland believes in what he does and passionately defends the role of the arts in public education. What began, therefore, as a career detour became a 35-year mission, pouring his heart into the lives of young people. Well, Mr. Holland returns to his classroom to retrieve his belongings a few days after school has let out for summer vacation. He has taught his final class. With regret and sorrow, he fills a box with artifacts that represent the tools of his trade and the memories of many meaningful classes. His wife and son arrive to give him a hand. And as they leave the room and walk down the hall, Mr. Holland hears some noise in the auditorium. Because school's out, he opens the door to see what the commotion is all about, and to his utter amazement, he sees a capacity audience of former students and teaching colleagues and a banner that reads, "Goodbye, Mr. Holland." Those in attendance greet Mr. Holland with a standing ovation, whilst a band consisting of past and present members plays the songs that they learned at his hand. His wife, who was in on the surprise reception, approaches the podium and makes small talk until the master of ceremonies, the governor of Oregon, arrives. The governor is none other than a student that Mr. Holland helped to believe in herself during his first year of teaching. And as she addresses the room of well-wishers, she speaks for the hundreds who fill the auditorium. "Mr. Holland had a profound influence in my life," she said, "on a lot of lives, I know. And yet I get the feeling that he considers a great part of his life misspent. Rumor has it that he was always working on this symphony of his, and was going to make him famous and rich, probably both. But Mr. Holland isn't rich and he isn't famous, at least not outside our little town. And so it might be easy for him to think himself a failure, but he'd be wrong, because I think he's achieved a success far beyond riches and fame." And looking at her former teacher, the governor then gestures with a sweeping hand and continues, "Look around you. There's not a life in this room that you have not touched, and each one of us is a better person because of you. We are your symphony, Mr. Holland. We are the melodies and the notes of your opus, and we are the music of your life." The abundant life. It's about finding meaning by touching the lives of others, not about fame, celebrity, or reputation. And on that note, we close another week of daily devotions. We'll pick things up again next Tuesday. Until then, take care. Hope you join us either in person or watching the live stream with our church service tomorrow. And until Tuesday, take care. Bye.